Hello there folks, and thanks for joining me once again. In today's fly I'm going to tie you up a little jig-style leech pattern that I come up with, and I thought I'd share it with you. And if you have the ingredients, you might want to tie some of these up. It's really, I use it in rivers, and it's also good in lakes for bass and whatnot. And I tie it in, I'm tying it on a size 8 for the video. I usually do 8s, and smallest I go down to a 10, 12 on occasion. And I'll get this little guy at the vise here and a fresh hook in. We'll get started here. And I'm using a size 8 jig fly hook, and I've already put a gold bead on and 6 wraps of .20 lead wire, and I glued that up next to the bead there so it doesn't move on us. And I'm just using some 70 denier and black for the thread. So the first thing I'm going to do is start behind that lead there and then just jump on top. It probably won't move. I got it glued down good with super glue, but I'll just put some reinforcing wraps. And then we're going to work back here a little ways past the point, and I'll snip off the tag in there. Okay, next, for the tail and the body, I've got some UV check dubbing here, and what I did was just, I took some black and brown and mixed it up in my little coffee grinder there. And it's sort of a blackish brown color, and I got a small bunch here that I put together for the tail. You don't want the tail too thick, and I'm going to tie that in here. Okay. Come on down with a pinch wrap here, and then we'll work back. I go about to where the barb would originally be. Don't want too thick of a tail on them here. Then I'm going to wrap that forward, and I'm going to snip that off right behind the lead here. The excess. Save that for dubbing the body. Now, we're just going to wrap that down nice and secure here. We'll go back and forward a couple times. Okay, and then we'll go back. Now, I'm going to form a dubbing loop here. So I'll take my finger and form a loop. We're going to wrap back just in front of our tail and lock that loop in place there. And we're going to go forward up to where we want to tie it off, right behind our bead. Okay, we have our dubbing loop there, so I'm just going to grab my little dubbing twister tool here, folks. And I have one of these type here with the two little prongs on the end here. And we'll hook that in. And I'm going to take a little bit of wax here and just rub on the loop, just to make sure it holds that in there secure. Okay, now I already have some here. I got a little noodle of the same dubbing as the tail ready. And I'm going to place that up in the loop here, folks. Get that up in there nice and snug. Now, I'll just give this little twister a spin here. Okay. Get that noodle nice and tight. And we're going to brush it out afterwards, after the fly's done here. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to use my rotary function here, and I'm going to begin to wrap that. Going to go back towards the tail a little bit, then forward once again. Just like so. And I want to give a nice snug pull when I get about halfway onto that, so it's in there nice and secure. And we'll just work up towards the bead here. Oh, that popped out of the dubbing twister. That's alright. I'll just grab a hold of that with my hackle pliers here, folks. Okay, just bear with me here. Grab that dubbing loop so it doesn't loosen up. Now, we're going to come around. Fill the rest of that in. Okay. Now I'm going to tie that off. So I'm going to come up around with a couple wraps. Then I'm going to snug it down nice and tight, get my thread tension back. And I'm going to wrap back on it a few wraps. And then come in nice and close, snip that dubbing loop out. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to throw in a half hitch here, folks, just to save our work in case the thread ever would break on us. Alrighty, so that's what we got so far. Now what I'm going to do is take my little dubbing brush here. Just have a little piece of dowel here with some Velcro on it, and I want to start brushing that out all the way around here. Just be careful of your thread. Okay, I'm just going to rough that up nice and pull out lots of those fibers there. Okay, just like so. And we'll do towards the back as well here. Just want to make it nice and buggy, and I'm going to sweep those fibers back. Just trying to get out as many as I can. Alright, I know it doesn't look like much right now, but it will. Okay, a few more there I want to get out. You can use a dubbing needle too to pick more out if you wish. I'm just going to wet my fingers and slick that back. And if you get any loose stuff, just pull it right out there. It'll come right out towards the end of the tail. And there he is, folks. And one other thing I like to do with this fly, that I've done with anyways, I just like to have a little couple wraps of black hen hackle at the front for a collar. So I'm going to tie that in here. Okay, we're going to tie that tip down, folks, right there. Fold it back, couple wraps. Whoops, thread broke on me, that happens, so no big deal. I'll correct that here. Just bear with me, folks. One thing about my videos, what happens when you're watching them. I don't do any editing or anything. So I'll thread that bobbin again here with the thread. Okay, get that threaded again. It happens to all of us. We break our thread. It's just that you don't see it on a lot of videos. Okay, now I'm going to catch that back in here where it broke. Once I get a hold of it here, folks. Alrighty, there we go. Alright, we caught that in again. Now we'll swoop that back. Sweep it back, rather. I'll come in and cut those two ends off. Just like so. There we go. Now we'll wrap our hackle. And like I said, well, first I'll pull off that little tip there. There we go. Alright, bring my pliers in here and we'll grab a hold of that hackle stem and wrap a couple wraps of that hen hackle. This step's not necessary, but I just put it in. More or less for me, not the fish. I think it looks pretty good on there. Okay, you only need a couple wraps, just like so, and then we'll tie that off. Okay, a couple wraps there. Check, see how we're doing. Looks good. Okay, now I'm going to pull all that back, sweep it all back and wrap back on it. I'm going to find my little stem there. Turn my fly upside down. I'm going to snip that off. There we go. And there we have it, folks. Another size 8 little jig leech that I come up with pattern. And I also tie it in all black as well. You can if you wish, and if you don't want to mix some brown in with it. Okay, now I'm just going to do a couple whip finishes and we're done here. Grab my whip finisher. I like to put a couple whip finishes on this guy, snug that down tight. And a couple more turns there. Okay, there we go. Snug it down nice and tight, seat the knot. I'll come in and snip off the excess thread here. Wow, nothing's going right for me here. There we go. Alrighty. There we have it. And now also going to comb that out a little bit more, folks. Pick it out. I'm just going to take my dubbing needle this time, or a little needle. And I'm just going to go along and pick a few more of them fibers out. I like to have this a little bit more bushy here. Just take a needle and pick some more fibers out, folks. I just find it gives a little better look. Alrighty. Just gets at them a little easier than that Velcro does. You can pick more fibers out this way with the needle. Alright, so we're just about done this guy. Okay, then I'll sweep those back again, take the brush. Give it a little brush there. Wet my fingers. There we have it. Another size 8 little jig leech. And if you want to, if you didn't like the gold bead, I tie them with black beads as well, and I've even tied them with orange beads. So, next step is to take a little bit of UV resin. I'm going to, some Solarized Bone Dry here. Put around that little thread collar there. And we'll hit it with the UV light. Okay. And with my light here, we'll zap that up, cure it. Doesn't take too long at all with that bone dry resin. Alrighty. That should be good. Okay, so there we go, folks. Another size 8 jig fly leech. Little jig leech that I come up with. And like I was saying, if you have the materials, definitely give some of these a tie. And like I was saying, I've caught trout on them and also bass and smallmouth bass as well. And if you have lakes with pickerel on them, they'll grab them too also. And definitely a great little leech pattern. So, like I always say, I want to thank you so much for joining me once again. And if this is the first time viewing my videos and you'd like to see more, hit that good old subscribe button there, and also the little bell icon so you can be notified when I put up new videos. And if you have any comments, put them down below. I don't neglect them. I read all the comments that anybody puts down. I always read them. I like to get the feedback. So anyway, like I always say, happy tying out there, and I'll see you all again soon. And so long for now, folks.